So, the next level in Spinnaker Trains is Durango, which they call a city, even though the population in real life is less than 18,000. It was founded in 1881, exactly at the time the railway arrived, and that's a 1960s photo from when steam was still current, long after it was gone from the rest of America. And as you would see from the photo, it was Denver Rio Grande Western, of course, and is now part of the Durango and Silverton, so those steam trains are still running, albeit as tourist locomotives now. So in this level, you haul oil and farm products. Again, it's a little bit unrealistic because in real life Durango is a mining town, where it was historically. It's also in the mountains, 6,512 feet above sea level, or 1,988 meters above sea level. Again, as I mentioned earlier, that's a higher altitude than anywhere in New York, and most of the Northeast. So that's Colorado for you. So, as in the other levels, you pick up the raw materials, you drop them off at either processing plants or, in the case of farm products, directly to retail, or directly at the retailer. This is actually a plausible use of railways as long as you have direct rail access to the markets. Depends on what kind of farm products you're transporting, obviously, but it is plausible to take produce and send it direct to a supermarket without containerization. Of course, in the 19th century, well, they didn't have containerization in wide use. And if they had it, which occasionally they did, well, you could put the containers on a train or on a wagon. And unless you're moving freight around a city, you're always better off with the train. The alternative is a horse-drawn wagon. Containers pretty much go back to the beginning of railways, but they didn't really catch on until the age of trucks, because trucks essentially made containers much more useful. Here I was overdoing it on the speed a little bit, trying to get around the layout and get my surplus of oil at the refinery here. Basically, the challenge on this level is that you have one source for materials, but two customers for each. So it's easy serving the supplier, but not the end user. I once watched a communist film in which the Communist Party were referring to a sale as a producer-end-user relationship, which is sort of funny. Had nothing to do with railways, though. That, I think, had to do something with farming, but I don't think it had to do with railways. I've forgotten totally even what movie it was. But what is true of railways generally, you have to keep the traffic moving. You have to make sure everybody gets their delivery at the right time, and so you have to manage your time. And another factor, which is realistically simulated in this game, is that you must take into account that some suppliers will produce their product faster than others, and some end users will demand it faster than others. So That's another thing you have to take into account when you're managing your time. One actual factor in steam locomotive operation that isn't taken into account in this game is water. One of the weird things about this locomotive is that it does need a supply of coal, but not a supply of water. They could have made it a little bit more challenging and interesting if you had to give it water. Anyway, they say okay to go to the next town, so I'll do one more delivery here. And then I'll end up highballing to the next town, which will be Bulleen, Nevada. Here I'm going to give the groceries to a different market, though, that actually demands it. So I have to waste a little bit more time on it, but I can still go to the next town. Here I'm trying to get fancy. Heading out of town straight instead of in the wrong direction, and I'm trying to get my switches right here. And off we go. Or maybe not. Okay, next video.